Good morning, Sampurna Academy family. I'm here at Sampurna Academy Central Campus. I would like to thank the whole Sampurna Academy community, parents, students, teachers, and staff for your understanding, compassion, and unwavering support. You have all shown a high spirit and positive attitude throughout the self-isolation and virtual school. We have missed our students as they have missed their friends, their teachers, their school. We have been informing you about our decisions during these difficult and uncertain times. We make decisions by putting children's safety and well-being first. We care about our students, our community more than anything. Sampurna Academy started term 4 with virtual school, online learning. This has been a smooth transition for most of us, since our school make decisions by putting children's safety and well-being first. Lots of technology. We care about our students, our community more than anything. Teachers have been ready to care about our term 4. Since the start, we have been monitoring virtual school every day has been to ensure we are delivering the best quality education we can. Has been using flipped learning, Google Classroom, and there have been 4,500 live sessions. And more than 90% of participation have been ready from the get-go. These are great stats. We have been monitoring virtual school learning in every day to ensure we are delivering the best quality education we can. Parents for supporting this process. There have been 4,500 live sessions. I would like to inform you that 90% of participation in virtual school and academic year 1920 that show will end May 15, learning in Sampurna Academy continues. And our school will run some fun activities and online parent-teacher conferences supporting this process and being part of the student learning. Your principal, I would like to inform you that further about the schedule and details. And academic year 1920, we have been preparing for the next academic year. And school will run some fun activities to start online parent-teacher conferences at campuses May 18 students in the classrooms. Your principal will during these times of ambiguity, schedule and details or unknowns. One may not know what will happen the next preparing for the next academic year. The Indonesian government may impose different restrictions depending on the circumstances, in July, which are still campuses with our students in the classrooms. We should be prepared for any other scenarios. During these times of ambiguity, these could be unknown campuses. One may not know what will happen the next month or even next week. The virtual school, the Indonesian government may impose different restrictions depending on the circumstances, which are still campus, partially online. Therefore, we should be assure you that in either scenario, Sampurna Academy is committed to provide the best education that we can. 3 weeks late. I would like to remind you again that Sampurna Academy is virtual school and intended running a hybrid model campuses learning on time, which is partially students on campus, partially online. Given that the Indonesian government and the health authorities allows us to assure you that either scenario, Sampurna Academy is committed to provide the best education to make a definite decision. I would like to remind you again that start of the next safety and well-being of our children, given that the Indonesian government and health authorities allows us to do so. We will update you as soon as those specified dates are unknowns. To make a definite decision, do not hesitate to consult with your principal or any other related questions you might have. We will once again always make the decision by keeping safety and well-being of our children as our utmost priority. Stay well and stay safe. We will update you as soon as those specified dates are available.
We miss you.
Please do not hesitate to consult with your principal for any questions you might have. Support. Please stay well and stay safe. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we miss you.
We love you.
Always take care.
Stay safe and healthy.
Stay motivated.
Keep learning. We are with you.
And we hope to see you soon.
Langsung saja ngeklik di sini, prosesnya cepat tak ingkar janji. Bila perlu buku bermutu, Periplus siap membantu. Periplus. Langsung saja klik di sini. Prosesnya cepat, tak ingkar janji. Bila perlu ku bermutu. Periplus siap membantu. Periplus langsung saja klik di sini. Prosesnya cepat, tak ingkar janji. Bila perlu ku bermutu. Periplus siap membantu. Periplus ada untukmu. Periplus siap membantu.
Okay, everyone, may I have your attention, please? Okay, before we start, I would like to inform you that we have some rules here. First, the participant please mute your voice hearing during
Okay,
the seminars.
everyone, may I have
Second,
your kind of attention, please?
participants may ask questions
before
during
we
the
start,
discussion session.
I would like to
After
inform
the
you
presentation that we have
and
some
then
rules here.
participants are required to stay
Uh,
until the session is finished.
First,
And
the
please do
participant
not
please
close
mute your voice
the
hearing during the seminars. Second,
device until
participants
is finished.
may ask questions
And
during
then
the
please be
discussion session
respectful.
after the presentation.
Okay.
And then
Good morning,
participants
everyone.
are required to stay
My name is
until
Putri
the session is
Maidamayanti,
finished.
and on behalf
And
of
please do
Sampurna
not
Academy
close
Surabaya,
the
it's my pleasure to welcome our
device
Sampurna
until
Academy Medan, Sampurna
is finished.
Academy Avenue,
And then
Sampurna
please be
Academy
respectful.
BSD, Sampurna
Okay.
Academy Sentul.
Good
To
morning,
this
everyone.
online seminar
My
entitled
name is Putri Maidamayanti,
Developing
and on
Children's
behalf of Sampurna
Literacy,
Academy
Let Us
Surabaya,
Grow,
let it
it's
grow.
my pleasure to welcome
It is our
Sampurna Academy
privilege to
Medan,
have you with us
Sampurna
today,
Academy
and we are
Avenue,
now ready
Sampurna
to begin
Academy
the proceedings
BSD,
of the online
Sampurna Academy
seminars.
Sentul.
Okay,
To
let
this
me
online
first
seminar
introduce you
entitled
to the agenda.
Developing
We will
Children's
set the ball
Literacy, Let
rolling
Us
with
Grow,
Mr.
Let
John
It Grow.
Murphy
As the
It is our
principal of
privilege to
Sampurna
have you with
Academy
us today,
Surabaya, to
and we
having
are
an
now
opening
ready
remark.
to begin
Mr.
the
John,
proceedings
thanks
of
yours.
the online seminars.
Thank
Okay,
you
let me
very
first
much, and
introduce
good
you to the
morning,
agenda.
everybody.
We will
My
set
name
the
is
ball
Mr. John. I am
rolling
the
with
principal
Mr.
at
John
Sampurna Academy in
Murphy
Surabaya.
as the principal
As you will
of
have seen
Sampurna
from
Academy
the
Surabaya,
introductory videos,
to having an opening remark.
we
Mr.
are
John,
the
time is yours.
newest Sampurna school.
Thank you
Very
the
much,
Sampurna
and good
family
morning,
nationwide.
everybody. Even though we
My
are the
name is
newest,
Mr.
we are
John.
also
I
expanding
am the
very
principal at
rapidly,
Sampurna
and
Academy
you
in
will have
Surabaya.
seen a clip there. As
of
you
a
will
video
have
of a
seen from the
presentation of our
introductory videos, we are the newest Sampurna school among the Sampurna family nationwide. Even though we are the newest, we are also expanding very rapidly. And you will have seen a clip there of a video of a presentation of our next campus, Grand Pakwan, which will open in July 2021. So we are really looking forward to having a second campus here in Surabaya. And welcome to all members of the Sampurna Academy family in Lavenu, VSD, Sentul, and Medan. It's wonderful that we can have a session which we can share with all other Sampurna Academy members. The session is one dedicated to literacy. This week in all Sampurna academies around the country, we have been celebrating Literacy Week and the importance of literacy in our lives, not just for the children, but for the parents and for us as teachers and educators also. Literacy is part of our lives. Literacy is part of our society. Literacy is part of our nation. It's a very important skill. And it's not just confined to literacy of certain languages like English or Bahasa or Mandarin. Also, there is literacy in PE, in art, in music, in mathematics. They all have their own languages. They all have their own ways of communicating, their own ways of learning and of increasing knowledge. So as we talk about literacy, let us also remember the wide definition of literacy. We are very happy to work in partnership with the Periplus Education, and also we are very happy to work with the speakers today, Professor Lee, Subagyo, and Carmelo. We know that their expertise will be very valuable to us. We all have something to learn from today's online seminar, whether we are parents, whether we are educators or interested parties. There's always something that we can learn and something that we can take away from an occasion like this. So this collaboration, this partnership is really important, especially now with virtual school, with challenges of coronavirus, with challenges to society. Working together, collaborating together, being in partnership together is the way forward, is the future, is also the future of education. So once again, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out this Saturday morning to be with us. A special welcome to our Samporna Academy family and a special welcome to Periplus and our speakers today. Please take away one important point of learning and implement it during the next week and during the next month. And if you do that, then your time this morning will have been time well spent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. John. Moving right along, it's now my pleasure to introduce you our moderator. Please join me welcoming Mr. Yohanes Carmelo, SSMM, from Periplus Education Academy as moderator. So, Mr. Yohanes, time is yours.
All right, good morning and hello everyone, especially for all parents, all book lovers, all educators, wherever you are. I heard we all have here in Surabaya, Jakarta, Medan, Sentul, and BSD, and all the participants who join with us through YouTube link as well. My name is Carmelo, and very good to see you all, and thank you. Such an honor for me as well to be a moderator in this event. Welcome to this event, and I do hope we are all in a very good health and condition, together with your family as well, of course, because yes, I think we are all agree that right now, staying healthy is the most important thing in our lives and something to be grateful every day. And first of all, I would like to thank you for attending this event. I'm also happy for have you all here, especially because today is Saturday. It's meant to be a family day. Even though in this pandemic situation, sometimes we feel that every day will be a family day. However, we are here together for the same reason, is to give what is best for our family, for our children regarding their growth, their knowledge, their future learning potential. And today, we are going to discuss about literacy for our children, as Mr. John Murphy mentioned in the beginning. Literacy is a part of our multi-aspects in our life. That's why it's very important. And that is why our specific theme today is developing children's literacy. Let it sow, let it grow. What is literacy about? How we should approach our children? How to make them enjoy and like reading books? Together, we will find all the answers in this morning discussions with our two speakers. But before we are going further, I would like to say that this event could be held as a collaboration work between one of the most reputable school in Indonesia, Samporna Academy, and also Periplus. Periplus is Indonesia's largest importer and wholesaler of foreign books, magazines, and newspaper. We have been serving this since 1985, so it's been about 35 years in this industry right now. And now Periplus has 42 stores spread across Indonesia with 3 main divisions: store, e-commerce. You can visit www.periplus.com. And for the school institution, we also have Periplus Education, who support textbook and education literacy book for schools institution. All right, now let us start our discussion. Already joined with me, our two honorable speakers, Professor Anita Lee. Professor Anita is an expert in English literacy, but also in learning and curriculum. Now she is teaching as a lecturer in some universities in Surabaya, and some others also being education consultant for some reputable school. Prof. Anita, good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Thank you, Prof.
Carmelo. I'm good.
Thank you for joining with us. And our other speaker is Pak Toto. He is currently serves as head of Teacher Academy in Periplus Education Division. He is also trainer, counselor, and book lover. Good morning, Pak Toto. How are you doing?
Morning. Good morning.
Very
Mas
good to see
Carmelo.
you, Pak.
Good to see you.
All right. Our discussion today, both Prof. Anita and Pak Toto, we want to talk about developing children's literacy. And here I have three main questions. Of course, later on we can break down the big questions into our questions as well. First is what? What is literacy? What does it mean? And second is why. Why literacy is very important for us, for our children. And third is how. How is the practice we can show this kind of value to our children? So it is more practical question. I know Prof. Anita and Pak Toto also a parent, so it will be not only knowing the theory, but also having experience. And please share with us about this life experience. All right, also in the end of the session, I will open a room for discussion and questions from participants. So for participants who want to ask, please feel free to put the question in the chat box, or for those who are following us on YouTube, you can also ask through comment columns. And then now we can start with Pak Toto first, reaffirming family and school. Please, Pak Toto, time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Carmelo, and good morning, everybody, especially the audience of Sampurna family. It's good to be with you this morning. So please allow me to share some points that we can ponder together. So like Mr. John Murphy said, our time is really well spent this morning. We just share with one another what we can do to develop our children's literacy. Allow me to share some screen, Mas Carmelo.
Yes, Pak, please to do so.
Okay. Can we see that?
Yes, we can see the screen. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the theme that we have, developing children's literacy. Let us sow, let us grow, let it grow. And then I put there, reaffirming home and school connection through literacy. But first of all, let me begin with some questions, very simple questions. Would you please be participating in these questions and answer by typing on your chat box? Yeah, just some questions, very simple questions. The first one, last night, how many of us, the audience, read aloud a book to our kids? You please jot down your answer. You just jot down me, and let's see how many that we have. What was the title? And did your kids enjoy the reading? So last night, how many of us read aloud a book to our kids? What was the title? Did your kids enjoy the reading? And the last one. Did you enjoy the process? Okay, I see that one in the green cable. Our kids, Bible story, Satwa That's good. Enjoy it. Very good. Did the Bible? Excellent. Is there any other answer? Okay, the last question. Did you enjoy the process? So the question is to you as parent. Did you enjoy the process? Story of Noah. With my son, I really enjoy the process. Very good. I enjoy it. Usually we do every morning the Bible action. I did. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Just as starting our discussion with these questions. Why? Because it's part of the process itself that we would like to develop. Yeah. This kind of habit that we would like to develop. Okay. Now, regarding the literacy itself, what is literacy? What do you think? What is literacy? Okay, let me just quote from what the literacy according to UNESCO. Literacy is the ability to identify, to understand, interpret, create, communicate, and compute using printed and written and visual materials associated with varying contexts. Okay, so here we have literacy as an ability. The ability. The ability of what? Of identifying, understanding, interpreting, creating, communicating, computing, printed, written, visual stuff, yeah, in a context. That's according to UNESCO. Well, it's kind of aloof, it's kind of theoretical, but I think we can dig into that one and simplify in the process. I mean, in the process of developing uh, the literacy itself. Another question: who is responsible for the development of the children's literacy? What do you think? Who is responsible? Is that the government? Could be. Is it the school? Might be. Or us, parents? Probably. Or what? Okay, let me just put this one. At school, of course, the educators, teachers, and at home, it's us, the family, especially the parents. But we'll go to that. Yeah, we'll go to that and how to make the connection between the two. So I just put aside these two. So we are not talking about the government's responsibility and so on and so on. We just put these two as our discussion, as our topic, the school as well as the home, yeah, the family. Okay, because I'm a parent of a daughter, and my daughter is now 6 years old. Let me just share a little bit. One day, a friend of mine sent me this book, The Little Prince. How old was my daughter? Well, at that time, still about 3 months or 4 months old and still in the womb of the mother. But once I got this little prince, this little book, I start reading the book every night, only few paragraphs every night to my would-be baby at the time, and every night, over and over. Even though the mother could be fell asleep, but I didn't mind. I just keep reading 2 or 3 paragraphs every night. So this is the Little Prince. This little book is the first book of my daughter, and the result, well, my daughter is still quite young, 6 years old, This week, she came up with these books. So every night, I have to choose, or to be correct, it was her. She would choose which one she would like to be read aloud. So this week we have Nat Geo, Little Kids, and then Winnie the Pooh, Hari Indah di Hutan Taman, and The Mixed Up Morning, and also Frozen. That's a storybook collection. She will pick one, and me or the mother will read aloud that one at night. Well, the thing that's to me it's really interesting is that even though the book is being read before, when she felt in love with the story or two, she would like to ask us to repeat that one, to read it that one again and again. But as we are reading that one together with my daughter, she will she would come up with some questions. So we have kind of discussion. So the same story, but with kind of a little discussion. And that's really interesting. So I learned from my daughter how to read and to love a story, how to read and to love some kind of article or book. So that's what I learned from her. Well, back to the beginning of my daughter's life before coming to this earth, I mean, before being born, uh, I came across with this kind of thing, the human brain development. Yeah. According to some resources, uh, we have to be really attentive to this human brain development. And please pay attention to the first year of the development. You'll notice that it's really stepping up from the language, stepping up from the sensory, especially in the hearing, yeah, and also that higher cognitive function. So this is really something that we have to go deeper and deeper. So my point is that even from the beginning, yeah, I'm not a doctor or uh, pediatric, but I'm interested in this. From the beginning, the neuron process is still over there, ready to catch up anything from the environment. So that's why when I notice that the prime window of opportunity for the language is there, I start reading that book even before my daughter was born. Yeah, even before my daughter was born. And even when she didn't speak the first word, I kept telling, or I kept reading that book for her every night. And also, I I I invite her to make some kind of communication in a way. Yeah, of course, she couldn't talk at the time, but I just pretend, I just suppose as if she understood what I meant. And she did. This is really interesting. So I would like to underline this window of opportunity. The best period for the human brain to acquire any language naturally and almost effortlessly is from birth to age 6 or 7. This is very interesting. Yeah. And before age 12, 13, human children are also born with natural ability to acquire language simply through hearing and use. This is also very interesting. Yeah. A couple months ago, or 3 months ago, I think, I came across with this new book, The Invisible Toolbox, which is very in line with what I believe. This book is by Kim Jocelyn Dixon. She's living in the United States. She has an experience of teaching in school, for about 30 years or so, and she loves children. But one thing that I really like about this book is that Kim really telling the story of her own in a way that this book is really coming out from her heart. So I love this book very much. Why? Because being a parent, this is the one that I've been looking for. It's a very simple book. Yeah, it's a very simple book. In her book, Kim underlined this one. Reading aloud to your child from birth on is one of the greatest gifts a parent can give. Sometimes I think that reading aloud to a child is only until about, let's say, 6 years old or so. Yeah, why? Because after that, the children, our children, well, they can do by themselves, reading by themselves. But Kim really underlined no, even to adolescents in this book, even to adolescents, it's always good to read aloud a book to your child. Why? It's not only because the bonding of the children and the parents getting stronger and stronger, but both parents and children, they will develop that kind of quote unquote literacy. This is really a good point that can be a takeaway from this book. Yeah. Well, the question could be this one: is it really one of the greatest gifts? Well, Kim say yes, it is. Why? Well, through this book, Kim covers some things and try to answer them with basic theories and also discovering the child toolbox, yeah, the parents toolbox, and some do's and don'ts. Well, the title itself, the invisible toolbox, what does it mean? Well, in my understanding of what Kim would like to say is that, well, as our child is growing and developing their literacy, in fact, they pick up anything from the environment as their skills. So this toolbox is kind of a toolbox of skills, yeah, innate skills that being developed through the environment, through the communication, through the relationship or connection with the parents, the siblings, the whole family. Yeah. So this is really a good book that can be recommended to parents, educators, everyone. Yeah. This book, it's really good in the sense that it's very practical. It's very simple. If you want to develop this kind of literacy, really, this is can be a good start. Good start at home. Why? Because that's the first school for the children. So we parents, we are responsible for that kind of atmosphere. I will say that kind of soil. So if we would like to develop this kind of literacy, well, so we have to really make up the environment itself. Well, so back to the first questions. So who is responsible for the development of our children's literacy? Well, you may say, of course, school. We pay for that. All right. And then also at home, we parents, yes, because they are our children. Yes. But please understand that the literacy is always uh, our project together. So in this onliner, I would like to underline this one. Really, there is a very, very tight bond, tight connection between what we are parents doing at home and also what the teachers, the educators doing at school. They have to be together. hand in hand, support one another. Yeah. Well, at school they have special program for that, for the literacy. Yeah. In a way, it's being designed by purpose, on purpose. At home, perhaps we can say, well, we don't have really that kind of curriculum, but we can make it. Why? Because being parents, we know what is the best for our children. Well, at least what we believe the best for our children. So what we can do, just give ourselves to them. Give the environment, the best environment for them. Okay. Okay. I think in the meantime, just at that point, Mas Carmelo, that would I would like to share. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pak Toto, for sharing with us. I got some points on my note. One of interesting one for me is reading aloud at night. I think it is something difficult to find nowadays, very rare, but
Mm-hmm.
yet now we see the value inside the reading aloud at night in perspective of human brain development. We can start something simple, reading book aloud at night, yet secretly we actually saw we help our children develop our brain and also develop their thinking ability. Thank you very much, Pak Toto.
Very welcome.
We see if we have question here. All right, this is from Ibu Mulyani. Is there any interesting way to read the encyclopedia for our kids? My kids are 6 years old and 3 years old. Like reading the encyclopedia, for example, dinosaur and tank. Thank you, Pak Toto. Maybe you can answer this short question.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Encyclopedia. Well, in my experience, I didn't go directly to the encyclopedia, but like that, this Net Geo Kids, it's really interesting to my daughter. Why? Because a lot of stuff there. Yeah, a lot of pictures, a lot of things that very informative, and it's very appropriate to her age. Yeah, because well, little by little, she now can read by herself. But sometimes, even though she can read something, she doesn't really understand what is that, Papa. So we have a talk, we have a discussion of something. Just like a few days ago, we talked about these bed-eared foxes. This is very interesting. Why? Because she understand well. She tried. She tries to understand that there are some kind of foxes. That the foxes is really very unique animal. So we go further by digging out that one. So back to that questions. Yes, we can do with the encyclopedia, but for the kids, usually the literacy, it's about the literacy of the pictures. So we have to find out some encyclopedia with a lot of pictures. Yeah, I have some, and my daughter also loves that one.
Mm.
Sometimes in that same encyclopedia, there is a kind of interactive one. It's like a flip and that's kind of flip what do you
Flip
call it,
books.
yeah, like a flip book, and also with that hide and seek things. So the encyclopedia is really playful, so even I myself call it as a playbook in fact. And then it's really interesting to make my daughter really engaged to the process of reading together. I think yes, we can do it as long as we make it really playful and fun for them.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Pak Toto, for answering this. Pak Toto, you also mentioned about Invisible Toolbox written by Kim. I think it's a recommended book that can give parents guidance, especially when now we are dealing with home learning, whereby a lot of time spent with parents more than the teacher. So I will ask Periplus if we could get extra discount for that book. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We'll back to you later also, Pak Toto, with another question. Now we
Thank you.
will continue our discussion. We will complete our perspective with the education concept theory to elaborate our searching of what, why, and how. What is literacy? Why literacy is important and how to implement it with Prof. Anita. Prof. Anita, please, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Carmelo. Please allow me to share my screen. Okay,
Yes,
good morning, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen. It's great to be here with
you can
you
see it,
this
Prof.
morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very
All
clear,
right.
Prof. Yes.
All right, good. Well, I would like to also be a bit interactive with you. And so the next slide is, just a second. This is, just take it as a quiz to Pak Toto's presentation, okay? So um, uh, please be participating in this Mentimeter. You can just type on your gadget, or if you're using a laptop, just open a new tab, menti.com, and then use the code here, 119539.6, okay, and then answer the question. So this is a quiz to Pak Toto's presentation, right? Pop quiz. Okay. In your opinion, what are the benefits of early literacy? Just there are 3 slots of answer. Those of you who are listening on YouTube, you can also participate. Okay. You can answer all 3, or you can, if you can think of only 1 or 2, just submit it. And then we will have a counter here and see how many people will participate. Okay, again, type menti.com and then use the code 119539.6 and then answer the questions. Okay, I'm going to try to do that too. Okay, enter the code 119539.6 and then you click submit. Okay, good. We can calculate the importance of learning at an early age. Very good. 1 person has sent in the answer. Okay. Anyone else? The teachers can also participate. Okay. All right. Oh, good. More answers are coming in. Curiosity developed well. Yes. Enhanced knowledge. Okay, good. Anyone else? Okay, 3 people. Okay, good. Language, yes. Language development, that's very important. Yes. Imagination or creativity, yes. Very good. Knowledge of the world, yes. I agree. Develop language skills, very good. Yes. Enhance knowledge, yes. More knowledge, okay. Very nice. Anyone else? Those are all the benefits, yes. More knowledge study, yes. Study skills, yes. Developing language skills, open-mindedness, yes. I cannot agree more, yes. Books are the windows to the world. No, you don't have to travel all over the world. You can, learn many parts of the world through books. Okay. Imagination, study. Okay. All right, that gives us an idea of benefits of early literacy, brain development. Yeah, Pak Toto talks about brain development. Yes, early literacy also help brain development. Okay, the using the window of opportunity of a very critical age. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to turn to the next question. Are you ready for the next question? This next question is a bit more personal. This is like a general knowledge about literacy and its benefits. Okay. Yes, more knowledge, reading development, yes, kepercayaan diri anak, yes, self confidence, communication skills, yes, very good. Critical thinking, I agree. Your daughter's vocabulary, are developing well. Yes, very nice. Okay, next question is more personal. Okay, now, how often do you do the following to your children? Okay, you can slide, the bar, you can move, slide through the bar, never or very seldom or regularly or very frequently. How often do you read bedtime stories? How often do you read aloud? How often do you role play stories? How often do you give books as gift to your children? Okay. Books or magazines. Okay, very nice. I'm happy to see the answer here of one person here. 5 very regularly. Yes, I remember. Both we, my husband and I, regularly give books to our daughters, books and magazines. So I remember just every week. My husband would come back from the office and would, my daughter was still even a toddler there. And then he would hide a magazine just behind his back. Guess what I've got for you? And my daughter would say, magazine, and then mention Bobo and Mentari. So she read Bobo and Mentari. I read Bobo too when I was growing up, and my daughter also read Bobo, when she was growing up. Okay, very nice. Read aloud, read bedtime stories. So above 4, okay. Give books as gift. Yes, we would give books as gift. Okay, let me jump to how, Pak Carmelo. This, Pak Carmelo give me the what, why, and how, but I may not speak systematically. But the how also, we've got a game, just family game when she was growing up. And we would have kind of a jar, and then we would have, this is how we plan our weekly activities as a family. And then we put, all 3 of us would write down on little pieces of paper activities that we would like to do over the weekend, okay? And like going to the bookstore. So going to the bookstore is our frequent and regular activity when she was growing up. A picnic at Kebun Raya. We have in Surabaya, there's Kebun Raya Purwodadi, that's the nearest. Or read aloud, dramatize, a book or a story from a book. All those activities, or play a game of Monopoly. And so we would put all those little pieces, and we would put them in like lottery pieces, and we put them in a jar. And then every Monday, we take turn. So one of us would take out kind of like a ballot, take out one piece and then read that. And then that would be our activity for the weekend, going to the bookstore, or read this book, okay, for the weekend, or role play, a story from a book for the weekend. So that's something to look forward to on the weekend. So that's an activity that we did when she was growing up. Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay. Role play stories. Yeah, well, it's not very big here among the audience, only 3.2, but it's really fun. Believe me, it's really fun. So we would read, even, she was maybe only 3 at that time. We frequently played out, the Little Red Riding Hood, or the 3 Little Pigs, and she would be the little Red Riding Hood, and I would be the grandmother, and her daddy would be the wolf, or playing the 3 Little Pigs. So we would play out, role play the stories when she was a child, and so that has proven, very well, in terms of her literacy development. Later, I'll talk more about that. Okay, well, okay, as we have more people, then the bars move slightly to the left. So a reminder to you parents that, reading aloud, reading bedtime stories, role-playing stories, and giving books as a gift. It's they're all very worthy investment. Okay, I'm hoping that the parents who are attending this seminar are parents of young children before it's too late. Then it's not late to start now if your children are still young. Okay, when I was giving seminar with, let's say, high schoolers parents or college students, sometimes there are questions that frustrated me, like, oh, my child has no motivation to learn or to study. Now, at that age, I could not answer the question. It's hard to start over at that age. Okay, but if you parents of toddlers, of 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, if you haven't done these things, please do. Okay, you can start now. But Toto and I started early. Yes, we started early too. When I was still pregnant, or when she was still a few days old, we did read stories. I did read stories to her while I was nursing her. I was reading stories, and then let her listen to music when I was still pregnant also. So things like that, we started really early. But if you haven't started now, if you haven't started these things, do start now. It's not late if your children are still at kindergarten, playgroup, or even elementary school. Okay, and I hope I do not get questions like, how do I motivate my child to read or to study, or to have self-motivation, to have discipline, from parents of high schoolers or college students. At that time, this is not my cup of tea. You have to see a psychologist, a counselor, for issues like that. But when your child is still young, then it's not too late. Start now. Okay, so what is literacy? Yes, Toto has given you the definition. So letter knowledge, narrative skills. Okay, so a child has an awareness that a letter, you've got children toys like alphabets and then matching, that kind of things. That letter is a part of something, a part of word, and it has a meaning. Okay, okay, and narrative skills. We can develop a child's narrative skills through bedtime stories, through reading aloud, and narrative skills are important skills. Okay, when your child is growing up or has grown up, then the child has to do presentation at work, presentation in school, in college, or has to do negotiation. It takes all the narrative skills that you're building up, that you're investing when they're still developing, when they're still emerging. Okay. And then phonological sensitivity. Okay, there are different systems between English and Indonesian. English is not a phonetic language. Every language has its own distinctive system. Okay, Mandarin is a pictographic language because each character is a picture of something, that is associated with the meaning. Indonesian is very phonetic, like we spell it, and then it sounds similar. If we cannot say 100% the same. Okay. English is not, it's a bit more difficult than Indonesian. So I'll switch to, because I want to show this. This has been circulating on WhatsApp groups, and I thought it's funny. And so let me, this is to show you how phonological sensitivity. Okay. So let me share this again. It's funny. I don't know whether you've seen this clip or not. It's circulating in WhatsApp group. Listen to it. So this is a mother during this online learning mode. So a mother is teaching the child, but this is in Bahasa Indonesia. Is teaching the child how to read. Okay, just listen to this. Okay. in Javanese also.
Dibaca? Jaran. Kuda. Kuda. Okay. Yo. P. Dibaca? Kupu-kupu. Dibaca? Ketek. Kera. Kera. Ketek iki. Ya. I. Pakene. P. I. Dibaca? Sapi. Misalnya. Ya. L. Dibaca? Iwa. Lele. Lele. Y. N. Titik. Ayam. Ayam.
Okay. It's interesting how, sorry. So, because it's a mother, not a teacher. So teachers, I'm sure also at Sampurna Academy know how to teach reading, spelling and reading. So there's a mother. Mother is not a teacher. And so there's a connection between letter, sound, and meaning. Okay, like the one, I mean, she should have been teaching, let's say, sapi, sa, right? Per, or p, sapi. Okay, but what the child was doing, the child was not wrong. He was looking at the picture, and the vocabulary that he got was, there's a picture of a horse, but in his prior knowledge, a horse was jaran. That's a Javanese language, which is okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong about the prior knowledge of the Javanese. It's great. Then the mother, if the mother is a good teacher, she would have used that prior knowledge as a stepping stone to teach the language. Okay, but she was not a teacher, so she didn't do that. Okay, and lele, L-A-Le. I mean, she should have taught the sound. Okay, it's called phonological awareness, and that's not happening with the child because the mother is not a teacher. Okay, so let me return to this. So the phonological awareness, sensitivity is not there. Okay, but a teacher would know how to connect letter, sound, syllables, word, and meaning. Yeah, and then print awareness that prints, books are not just books. This is, a child can initially see this as a toy, with babies. There are baby books too. When my daughter was a baby, we bought her baby books, and baby books are made of plastic, that sometimes she chew on the book, like I would bathe her and she would take the baby book in the bathtub and it's waterproof. Okay. So at that time, a baby did not have brain awareness yet. So she would just consider that as one of the toys. Okay. But then when she became a toddler and then we read stories to her, then she got the brain awareness that all the prints here, have meaning, that you can sound all the words here, and it ties up to a story or something, an utterance or a story. That's brain awareness. And then brain motivation, those of you who regularly read bedtime stories, you will find that your child asks for more every night, and if they like a particular story, they would ask you to read the same story over and over again. I remember being bored of the same story, but they would do that. Oh, tell me the story of this, again and again every night. Okay, that's brain motivation. Yeah, and then vocabulary development. Yeah. Okay, so but now literacy, this is for early age, but this is for older children and also pre-youth, pre-teen. Yeah. Now, especially with the online learning mode or period, then digital literacy is important. So yes, literacy, but Toto also has added visual literacy. Yeah. So using printed and written materials as well as digital forms now. And so now it's also important to teach them the digital literacy, including the digital wisdom, like digital identity. Beware also of the dangers of cyberbullying, of disclosing too much identity on the internet, which may be dangerous to our kids. And so we want to teach them that too, stories have their wisdom, stories like Little Red Riding Hood, the mother has given her the message, I'm sending you to grandma is ill at the across the forest, please send this food to grandma, but don't talk to stranger, okay? But the girl violated the instruction, she talked to the wolf, okay? And then so that like giving too much information. I'm going, where are you going, sweetie? Where are you going, sweet girl? Oh, I'm going to see grandma at the end of the wood. So giving information, address and everything. So the story of Little Red Riding Hood happened in the forest, in the wood, but we can transfer the story to our urban situation. In Jakarta, in Medan, in Surabaya, that it could happen here too. The wolf is not the animal wolf, but stranger who might jeopardize, who might endanger our children's lives. Of course, we should not teach them to be paranoid, like, oh, don't talk to people, but they have to have the discernment, the wisdom to know what kind of information they should give and to whom. That's part of the digital literacy wisdom too. And now even it's not just Medan, Jakarta, Surabaya, it's not the information superhighway, the internet superhighway. It can be overwhelming, but I'm sure that bit by bit we give them also the digital literacy. Okay, and 5 stages of literacy: emergent readers and spellers, like the kauku de ada kuda, that's emergent readers and spellers. It wasn't happening in that clip. Okay, alphabetic readers and spellers, and then word pattern readers and spellers, and then intermediate readers and spellers, and advanced readers and spellers. Okay, I just want to share some of the books that our daughter grew up with. Okay, yeah, she grew up in a bilingual environment at home, but she at the kindergarten and elementary school, she went to a semi-international school with international curriculum, English and Indonesian. But when she was in SMP and SMA, she went to a national school where they use Indonesian. But at home, we gave them both. We gave her both Indonesian and English literature. So what we invested when she was still in her early childhood, elementary school and before and kindergarten, it stayed with her. So even when she went to a national school in SMP and SMA, then her English was still okay, was still developing. And so these are some of the books that, some are Indonesian, like Bobo, Mentari, Kawanku, not Si Kunjung yet. I think at that time Si Kunjung had died maybe. And then seri Toko Dunia, a lot of Toko Dunia here. And then the Very Hungry Caterpillar. Oh, perhaps I bought this book twice because it ripped over because of the fragile. But this was a very interesting book. Okay, and then Dr. Seuss has a series. A lot of them. Cat in the Hat. If I Were the Zookeeper, a very creative Dr. Seuss. And Roald Dahl when she was in upper elementary school. And The Giving Tree. Oh, Periplus has some of these books, right? Yeah. And And then, oh, this one, I still kept this one. This one has, Sark has different versions. This one is the storybook version, you know, but it also has the journal version where your child or the reader can write down and draw and do things there. It's really great. Okay, now what I want to show you is, oh, not this one. Let me switch to the transformation that our child, okay, that our child went through. I want to show you. So during this pandemic, we had a lot of time at home. So we picked out just old treasures, including old videos. My daughter is 26 now, but here she was perhaps maybe 6 or 5, maybe 6 or 7. So she was in a storytelling competition and she didn't win. Okay, so she read book and then she had to storytell that. It was a long one. She didn't win in the competition. She got disappointed, but we said, oh, it's okay. It's a good practice. It's a good activity. Okay. And this is recently, last Wednesday, she had a conference with former Vice President Budiono and Khatib Basri. So the conference was held by ANU, Indonesia Project ANU, Australian National University. And so she was presenting there.
As a tourism sector, are most affected, so people have been returning back to agriculture. But unfortunately, I think on a broader level, the agriculture sector remains rather uninteresting for the younger generation. They still see it as manual labor and also very unsure of the profit and the lucrative or the profit that can come from agriculture sector. But we have been seeing.
Okay, so she talked about agriculture policy. You know, I frankly speaking, that's not my area, so I did not understand what she was talking about because it's just her field, her research. And so now, you know, I thought her literacy is well above me, it's well beyond me. And 2 years ago, she went to a competition with British Council and thousands of participants from all over Indonesia writing an essay, first writing an essay, and then send the essay to British Council. And then she got selected. 10 of them were invited to Jakarta to give a 5-minute presentation. And this is a presentation in Jakarta. Can you see this? The YouTube? Can you see the YouTube file? Yeah.
Not yet.
Can you see this?
Yes, Prof. You can see it.
Okay.
It's not yet playing.
Apa? Not playing?
Yeah.
It's playing?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay, let me share a different way of sharing it.
There's no more effective way than by policy. And I'm not the only one. There are many of women and youth in Indonesia who hate politics as well. Or maybe they're just apathetic to it. Maybe they don't know anything about politics. And that's mostly because they've been excluded.
Okay, so
access to political space.
I know that for a fact
because I work in a local.
Okay, and so she got the, so 3 of them got selected, so she went to London for 10 days. So British Council, you know, sponsored that.
Hi everyone, the elders have asked us to walk together to find pathways to peace. In Indonesia, one key issue for me is how to promote strength and diversity and also tolerance. Since we have a huge amount of different cultures and backgrounds. This is why I will be walking in the shoes of Sabang Merauke. This group works to promote tolerance.
Okay. Okay, what I'm saying is, you know, investing in literacy is always worth it. It's always worth your time and your money for your child. You know, um, like looking at how many books, that our daughter had, and sometimes we were just running short of space, to put all the books and just the books, magazines that she had when she was growing up. But the space for the books and the magazine and all the printed materials, you may run out of it, but our human brain, it's amazing how we're always running out of space to put books collection. And that's after we give away books also. We give away books, we throw away books also, but still we're always running out of space to keep the books. But our brain is always big enough to store the information, the data, the insights, and the wisdom of books. That's my presentation. Thank you, Pak Carmelo. I'll turn it over to Pak Carmelo.
All right, thank you, Prof. Anita, for your explanation and your sharing. Very helpful for us and also enrich our knowledge about literacy. And I want to back a bit to Pak Toto. Pak Toto, we had a question before regarding it is okay to use encyclopedia or not. And I would like to expand a bit the question, how to select books who is suitable for our children, or for example, for your daughter, Andrea, how we select or choose a proper book for our children. Do you choose the book or Andrea choose herself?
Thank you, Mas Carmelo.
Yeah.
Just fortunately, last week I bought a book, and fortunately because I was in Periplus, so it's easy to get the book and then search the book. So I made a video call with Andrea, and I choose some books. Of course, the one thing that I keep it what she loves. My daughter loves princess. Okay, mostly a book about princess is always something to her. So and also she loves that Frozen, yeah, Elsa and Anna, that kind of thing. So uh, I put some books, and then we did the video call, and I have to open each book for her, yeah, and then she could see what's inside of the book. As I remember, there were 3 books at the time, and then I let her to choose which one, and then she chose this one as her book. So I bought this one. Back to the questions. In my opinion, it's always good to have a dialogue with our children, which one that she or he loves to read. Yeah, because first of all, they must love what they would like to read. Of course, being parents, sometimes we claim that we know better. Well, maybe yes, but often what we think is better for our children, sometimes it's not what they need at a certain point. So I make it the other way around. What she loves, or what they love, and then try to catch up with what we have in our mind to develop that one. Fortunately, Andrea, my daughter, loves storybook, something like this one. So it's easy for me every night when we talk about something regarding the stories, we just automatically, naturally, we can develop the discussion, because the point is, in my opinion, developing the literacy is how to develop what she already understands from this. So building up the knowledge itself. Yeah, she has the pre-knowledge, as Professor Anita Lee already mentioned, and then developing that one bit by bit with what's already known to her. I think that's the way I understand the question and I put that into a practice, Mas Carmelo.
All right, thank you, Pak Toto. I put on my notes. So this could be moments of dialogue with our children. So
Right.
dialogue is the key point and developing prior knowledge. Thank you, Pak Toto. And for Prof. Anita, when we read aloud to our children, you said it is better as young as possible and it's not late to start. And how actually the brain and learning process works, because we might think there is no point in reading a book where our little children might not understand what we are telling. Could you explain a bit more about this?
Say it again, like, sorry, say it again, Pak Carmelo,
Yeah.
the last
So
one.
when we read aloud to our children, you said before that better to start as young as possible, and it's not late to start. But actually, we might think there is no point in reading a book for in very early ages because our little children might not understand what we are telling. Yes, this is the question.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
you can
All right.
elaborate a bit.
Okay. All
Explain
right.
more.
I got your point. Okay. First, I'll answer the question from Pak Nuri about encyclopedia. So, well, as if you have an encyclopedia, it would be great. We never invested like in the Britannica kind of encyclopedia. I'm glad we didn't because that was so expensive, and now it's a bit people go to digital encyclopedia. But we did have like mini encyclopedias, like thematic encyclopedia. Well, encyclopedia is not meant to be read. It's a book that you seek information because, like, you wanna your child to know the difference between a dinosaurs and, oh gosh, what is it? It's the boys' world, little boys' world, and what is like some
Yes.
other kinds of dinosaurs? What's the difference? Brontosaurus and this and that. Then you go to encyclopedia, okay? But encyclopedia doesn't have the story; it has the information. So using encyclopedia should be combined with storybooks. Like now that's related to the question to Pak Toto also. So every age has its own stage of development, and so certain books are appropriate for certain age level. If you go and if you study reading and child development, then there is the canon of books. Kind of like, okay, the prescription. Okay, these books are appropriate for a toddler. These books are appropriate for kindergarteners and so on. Okay, and so there's a question also that I read, that what would be good for a 4-year-old? 4-year-old child. Well, I would go to Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the Giant Peach. Okay, Periplus, you better import Roald Dahl's books. They're great. Okay. I love Roald Dahl.
Yeah, Roald Dahl.
You have that book. Okay, good. Roald Dahl. Okay. So I want to share again the books that that our daughter read, because and these are just some of the books. I forget also the other books. Paul Coelho. I just mentioned randomly. Paul Coelho is good for SMA students, high schoolers. Dr. Seuss. Oh, I still love Dr. Seuss. Now in my 50s, I still love Dr. Seuss. If I with the zookeeper, and it's just so creative. The Giving Tree. You have the Giving Tree too, Periplus?
Yes.
Yeah. And The Giving Tree
Yes.
is just one. It's just one of the books by Shel Silverstein. You know, Shel Silverstein is a very creative author. You know, The Giving Tree. And what else? Yeah, and Zark. You know, Zark has a few other titles. Roald Dahl also is very creative. They have the movies too. So if there are movie versions of these books, I suggest that you let the child read the books first and then read the books with the child. I mean, you can make it interactive, you know, as I said earlier, if a child, yeah, even when my daughter was still like below 5, you know, she wasn't aware of brain recognition and she wasn't able to spell yet. But when we were reading her story, we made the story alive by role playing it. You know, okay, you become this, I become this, and then we role play that. And so she wasn't able to read yet. You know, she wasn't able to read, but we read the story to her and we role play that. We dramatize the story with her. And below 5, children are very fast at absorbing and then developing imagination. Okay, and imagination is very important because imagination is later related to problem solving. You know, problem solving, creativity. Okay, in a later age. Okay, and then picking up on Pak Totok's answer. I would like to offer the other side of the perspective. Choosing a book for younger children is much easier, you know, like because you made the decision. You know, I bought this book, I bought that book. Even though you ask your child to, what do you want? Yes, we take her to the bookstore, but usually what they like is not an issue for parents, you know, because they like children books. But when they are teenagers, sometimes parents and children have disagreement. Okay, there was a time that I thought my daughter read too much of Princess Diary. You know, she had like the whole series of Princess Diary, and I thought, that's too much. You know, and so you know, it's like a book is like food for thought. You know, like you have to grow up also. You know, like when you were a baby. You had the ASI, you know, you nurse from the mother. Okay, that's the best for a baby. And then when you're a toddler, then you have soft food, you know, makanan lunak, yeah, soft food. And then, but when you're growing up, then you have to grow up on your book development also. And so there was a time that I thought, when my daughter was in elementary school, she liked the seri Tokoh Dunia, and I you know, I just found that agreeable. You know, she read about Mahatma Gandhi, Madame Curie, you know, Abraham Lincoln. You know, so I thought it's good for her knowledge. But when she was in SMP and SMA, I thought she read too much of Conan, Detective Conan, and
comics. Yes.
Yeah, Princess Diary. I thought it's too much, but well, we had some disagreement a bit, and then I tried to give her books that I thought would be more challenging. But perhaps it goes with the nature of her age development. Now she reads policy papers. She reads research and policy papers now. You know, she's on her own now. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Anita. Please allow me to read some questions on chat box. We have question from Nadine, Miss Nadine. I don't have any problems finding English books for my kid that's suitable for her age, but it is very difficult to find in Indonesian books or buku berjenjang that suits to certain age. It is hard to find. Is it possible that maybe in the future, Periplus would like to pay more attention on this issue? Okay, I think this is more suggestion for Periplus to also provide Indonesian books. I will pass this on to our management. Thank you. And then from Miss Unia, I'm a book reader, book lover, and book reviewer. I read many kinds of books. collect many kinds of books and join book clubs, but I still find it difficult to get my child to read because he was tired of studying and doing schoolwork. What can I do? I think this is a very good question and represent a lot of question from many parents.
Right.
Maybe start with Pak Toto first, and then Prof. Anita, you can also answer this question. Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mas Carmelo. Well, I already typed my answer to Miss Junior. But yes, I think the first thing we have to address is his well-being. Yeah. If our child is exhausted or tired of something, and then let him or let her be refreshed, first of all, right? So, and she mentioned that tired of schoolwork or something like that, but very understandable because during this distance learning, there are a lot of things that the students should do at home, right? So we have to be really, really mindful about that. That being a student, it's also kind of not easy for some of our children. So, in my opinion, first of all, just address that one first. Once he's kind of refreshed, and then we can do something. But also this one, it depends on the way our children would like to get refreshed, because some light readings are refreshing too. So it depends. If he loves some light readings, novel or some, kind of uh, easy reading, why not? Because in my own experience, it's much better for me to get refreshed if I got something to read. So, well, of course, sometimes if we go somewhere and then some spend time just for ourselves, it's kind of me time. It's really good. But I'll be more refreshed if I have a book with me, a book that I would like to read. So it depends on the way our children would like to get refreshed. But first of all, yes, address that one first, and then we can move forward.
Thank you, Mas Toto. Prof. Anita, you want to add something?
Yes. Okay. It's great that this seminar also is attended by teachers. Okay. So this is a message for teachers too, that like during this pandemic, the minister has declared that okay, we're using adaptive curriculum. Just don't bother about finishing all the materials. Okay. When we talk about curriculum, then there are two aspects of curriculum: the breadth of the curriculum, keluasan, the scope, like how wide the scope is, that's the breadth of the curriculum, or the depth of the curriculum, kedalaman, how deep the curriculum is. And so in a lot of Indonesian schools, I'm sure not, maybe not in Sampurna. In a lot of schools, then the aim is more on the breadth of the curriculum. So the scope, that we want our children to learn as much as possible, but then not enough time is spent on digging deeper, into the curriculum. And yeah, like overwhelming kids with assignments. It's okay to give them assignments, but please give them assignments that are enjoyable and meaningful. Okay. And also for parents, I want to share my child, our daughter. We did not put her into a lot of lesson. Like after school, she had a lot of time. Yeah, we did send her to actual courses, but more like music, ballet, swimming, that I thought would complement what is going on in school. So we did not send her to any other lesson, like, among Indonesian parents, famous for mafia, matematika, fisika, kimia, right? And so, we did not send her to that kind of after hours. Sorry for teachers who make an extra out of that, but we thought that, okay, she's got enough from school in the afternoons, then she should develop her other part of the brain. Another thing I would like to testify is that, her elementary school, I mean, she excelled in her elementary school, but she went to a national school in SMP and SMA, and then her SMP, SMA all had the system of ranking, and I mean, they make it such a big thing. Like every semester, they would gather all the parents, and then they would call the top 10 of class and call the children and the parents, and it's such a big thing in their school. My daughter never made it, to make it academically to the Big Ten. And I was never concerned about that. I was never worried about that she didn't make it for the top 10 of the class academically. She was actively involved in OSIS, in school magazine, in things like that. And now she turns out okay, like the pressure in her school, the high schools, SMP and SMA, academic pressures are high in her schools, but as parents, we did not want to add those pressures on her. So we just tried to balance her brain development and her character development in other areas.
Yeah.
And and she's okay now in her career, in her life.
Thank you, Prof. Anita and Pak Toto. This is a very interesting question. The question is how to make children like reading, and I want to share a bit as well. The point before we go to like reading, I think we can create conditions that make them enjoy or feel at home. One of my friends starting with creating the very comfort ambience for the children. Beanbag chair there, and then with colorful wall and lots of stickers and posters. So then he also choose the fun readers for the kids, and the kids, I think, starting to enjoy. They feel like at home and in their comfort zone, and start to like reading. I think it could be a starting point as well. All right. I have another question for Prof. Anita. You mentioned that literacy should be put in a holistic way. So it's not just reading, but also hands-on as well. So it's kind of very experiential thing. And Prof, as we know right now, how we as a parents guiding children, especially now, our children is so attached with the gadget. You mentioned that written materials in digital forms also include literacy, but how to manage this as a parent?
Yes. Thank you. That's a very good question, Pak Carmelo. Yes. So literacy, there are two approaches to develop children's literacy: phonic-based or whole language. Okay. Phonic-based, yes. No, I believe in eclectic approach. We use both phonics as well as whole language. Whole language is more holistic. Phonics, we teach them, letter, word, pattern, spelling, that's phonics approach. But a phonics approach is very discrete, very specific scale. But other than phonics based, then we should also be teaching our children the whole language approach, holistic way. Like we combine the printed materials now with the digital internet era, then also the visual video, music, podcast, and also the real world, because the real world, the hands-on experience really makes a difference in the literacy development. Pak Carmelo, do I have time to show a video?
Sure. Yeah, still we still have time.
So, all right, I want to show you. So this is not my video. So this is a mother of twins. okay, a mother of twins. So, but please get the right message out of this video. Like, okay, so the mother and the father plan on different activities for the twins to learn about elephant. Okay, the first one stayed home, learning from books and gadget and a video and just gadget. And the second twin was taken to the zoo to look at the real elephant. Yeah, but don't do that now. Okay, you can reserve it for after pandemic. Yeah. By the way, going to the zoo was also in one of our pieces of papers in the jar. You know, it's a good activity for children. And so at the end of the day, the mother and the father tested the twins, how the development, the literacy development of the twins. Okay, and so we'll see.
Hello, meet my twins.
My name is Haley.
So you see that both of them were, more or less equal. You know, they're twins from the same parents, and they're both very enthusiastic, very energetic, both of them. Okay.
Born first, and Layla 2 minutes later. They both dragged me up the wall. Haley and Layla love doing things together. But just for today, I'm going to keep them apart while we learn about elephants. Haley and I read books, watched documentaries, and surfed the internet. Then it was Layla's turn. Haley, tell Daddy what you saw today.
Elephant.
What was his nose called?
Trunk.
How big was it? What did it eat?
I don't know.
Layla, tell Daddy what you saw today.
Elephant. The elephant is it walks like that.
What was its nose called?
Elephant got trunk, not a nose. And they get trunk here to stick the air and eat. Put inside the mouth and eat. Between the eyes, behind the hands, behind the body, behind the legs. And then this one is the bumper, this one, everything is the bumper, okay? I see elephant. The elephant eats sugar cane and banana. There's the elephant in the jacket and the nasty and the smelly too.
Books are not important. They are important. You know, books, gadget, they supplement, but they are windows of the world. But we should not stop at books. This is more the holistic approach, the whole language approach. We should also take the children to the world. And then so that the books are mirrors of the world. And so they see the world in the books, but the real world, they should also be exposed to the hands-on experience in the world.
Thank you, Prof. So I think it's a challenge for parents to be be creative to connect between literacy and experimental activity. So it will enrich or even more make the children more enthusiastic to know more and more through books. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, because we see the differences at the end of the day. You know how the twin who was taken to the zoo had much enhanced vocabulary development and enthusiasm.
I think it's also related with the imagination you mentioned before. Yeah, so the children, they imagine something by the books, but when they see the reality, they complete their knowledge.
Right.
All right, Prof. And then back to Pak Toto again. I got one question. The children imitate the parent. And regarding the literacy, what do you think about this, Pak Toto?
Well, that's very, very good question.
Mhm.
We know quite well that children are really natural imitators, right? Uh, in school, perhaps we can teach them this and that, yeah, by design because it's the curriculum. But sometimes what we forgot is that there is kind of what we call hidden curriculum, not really being taught, but since that what they always see every day, especially at home, that's they will imitate.
Mhm.
So in a positive way, we can also say that if the environment is really positive, and then the children will pick up anything positive around them, and then they will also grow in that positive way. So in the context of literacy, if the parents really love books, love reading of books, love about doing something with books, for instance, well, almost naturally, the children will pick up such thing as their own habit. Well, I'm quite impressed, in fact, and I love that one. As we see in the monitor, the background of Professor Anita, there are a lot of books. Yeah? The shelf is really filled with books, and
But not
also,
boring books now.
well,
Serious book.
uh, anyway, that's I don't know. To me personally, that's what I have in mind. Yeah, when one day I have my own room and so on, and so my own house and so on, I would like to have that kind of shelves with a lot of books.
Mhm.
Even it's kind of funny. Uh, it was quite difficult for me to imagine heaven with angels and on the clouds and then singing. uh, doesn't really interest me to me. I will, to be honest. But so I make up my own heaven.
Mhm.
Well, what is heaven to me at that time? I was in elementary school. To me, heaven is kind of a very very huge library full of comics. That's my heaven. So I would like to go to such a heaven, such a like big library, but not with that kind of singing things and so on. Not interest. Not to me, it's not really in
Yeah.
my interest. So back to your questions, Mas Carmelo. It's really the parents. If we're setting up good examples for them, for the children, and then most likely the children will pick up that one naturally.
Mhm.
Yeah. So not being enforced. So
Mhm.
if we love books, if I remember when my daughter was still, I think about 3 years old or even younger, because she often seeing the mother and myself reading a book, and
Mhm.
then sometimes also she was just pretending, yeah, holding a book, sometimes upside down, doesn't really matter, but just doing that one. To me, it's very, very cute. Eh? I mean, uh, this is the way they learn something. So I remember that question in the previous questions that one of the audience proposed. Uh, do they, the little children, understand if they don't even speak, if they don't even they are not able to read something? Well, they do understand in their own way. So be careful with the children, because even though they cannot speak out their mind, yeah, they really picked up anything they see around them. They
Mhm.
will just imitate anything that they listen to or they hear around them. So I think that's what I can say. Yes, starting with ourselves. Yeah, developing the literacy is always starting with ourselves as parents, and we can apply this one for other things. Yeah, if we talk about moral, we talk about ethics, we talk about some other habits. Yes, it's always starting with the parents because the parents are the first teachers of the child, of the children. Yeah, this kind of hidden agenda is there. To the children, it's really like an open book. Yeah, it's an open book. Do I answer the question, Mas Carmel?
Yes, very much. Thank you, Pak Toto. So the point is, I put on my notes starting with ourselves because we can actually teaching by example and children following the parents. Thank you very much for this, Pak Toto. So it's a important message as well for us all, especially for parents. So for parents, take a book right now and then start reading besides your children. It will be a good example. For okay, please allow me to read question from the chat box again. We have here one question. All right, from Miss Gali or Pak Gali. How to deal with teenagers who were book lovers, but now they leave their books and turn to games, movie, and else? Okay, this is a very good question. How to deal with teenagers who were book lovers, but now they leave their books and turn to games, movie, and else? Maybe starting with Prof. Anita, you want to
Yeah,
answer this
yeah,
question?
yeah. Like, I don't like games. I don't play games, but my daughter and my husband do play games. You know,
Mhm.
like different kinds of games. You know, Candy Crush or just all these different computer games. But they do that just out of boredom of something. You know, but they okay. I mean, they know that. I mean, they play, but they're not addicted to
Mhm.
games. So it's okay. Sometimes, you know, I don't play games. I don't like games, but I can understand people who do. You know, like it's just when you're in the middle of something, you're waiting. It's like it's good for your brain to rest in that way. You know, like the time you're not in the mood for chewing something hard,
Mhm.
like a book or something uplifting as a book, then as you don't get addicted to it,
Mhm.
so I can live with that, with two people in my family sometimes doing games. They're not addicted, but they do play that sparingly, you know, like. But movies are like books,
Mhm.
you know, like there are bad movies, there are light movies, there are very good movies. We love movies too. Movie time is also our family time also. Movies are like books. Just we want to make like books. We want to make sure that they move up the stages, you know, of movies and books. You know,
Yeah.
like there was a time that my daughter also liked Korean drama, you know, and
Mhm.
I don't. But my mother liked Korean drama, so grandmother and granddaughter sometimes had their bond in Korean drama, and I don't like that. And I just like Korean drama and Princess Diary. I thought they're they're like sugar, you know, like what we consume. We have to have a good balanced nutrition. You know, we have protein, we have carbohydrate, we have all the nutrients, you know. And the way I see such kind of drama in Princess Diary, sorry if some people like that, it's like sugar, you know. You put sugar in your diet too, you know, we like the dessert, you know, but if you eat that too much, then it's not good. But but then, you know, eventually my daughter graduated from Korean drama and from Princess Diary stage at her own timing, you know. And now if I mean, forget about Princess Diary and Korean drama level, you know. Sometimes when I bought books and I thought, oh, it's the wrong books like motivational, my
Mhm.
daughter would say, oh, I don't like this kind of book, mom. You know, it's too common sense, you know, like how to be rich, how to be proper, how to be decent, you know, you know, it's too easy for my daughter now. And so she graduates from each stage at her own timing, you know. And maybe I can equate books with coffee, you know, like if you're a coffee lover, what
Mhm.
stage are you in? If you're drinking the 3-in-1 coffee, then yeah, whether you want to stay at three in one coffee kind of coffee, or you like cappuccino, flat white, or espresso. Those who are at the level of espresso, then if you give them the 3-in-1 coffee, then maybe they would, sorry, puke. Coffee are like, it's like, like, so don't worry. I mean, movies, then there are movies. If you want your child to get back to books, then find movies that are based on good books, there are movies that are based on good books. Les Miserables, what else? A lot of movies, Roald Dahl, does the person mention, oh, teenagers, yeah. Roald Dahl maybe might still work with teenagers. It depends on how old is the teenager, like 11, 12, it may still work with Roald Dahl. A lot of good movies based on Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Giant Peach, a lot of movies based on good books. I don't know if Paul Coelho's books has been made into movies. Maybe not. Paul Coelho is a good writer also. So find movies that are based on books, good books, and then you get them after watching the movie. If they don't like books anymore now after watching the movies, then get them to read the books. Because most people who love books and then they see the movies, they usually become disappointed.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
the books are much better than the movies. Why? Yeah, because our imagination is richer than what is made possible into a movie. Yeah, most people are disappointed, after reading the books and you see the movies, then you like, okay, yeah, Harry Potter, yeah, a lot of teenagers like Harry Potters, a lot of the Rings, I read the books and I watch the movies. I thought the books are a lot richer than the movies because our imagination is richer than the movies, or the movie director can act it out in the movie. Yeah, maybe that's my answer.
All right, thank you, Prof. Anita. Yeah, I agree that parents are have the key here in guiding the children. So one of the tricky tips is find movies that are based on books. Because yes, in my opinion, when we read a book, it's like entering a different world when we very focus and really enjoy. But in the other hand, the problem is there are so many distractions out there, including inside of the gadgets. It's sometimes it's very tempting to to put down the books and move to the other way. Well, yeah, we still have another question. Wait here. From Miss Dame Inawati Tambubolon Universal School. Please help me to build my bonding with my students. How can we do help them growing their great literacy? I think, Pak Toto, you can answer this question, please.
Well, thank you, Mas Carmelo. Well, in my opinion, the bonding itself can be developed through reading together. And I think Periplus also have some support with that. Uh, some publishers really have a very good program for this kind of literacy. Mention, for instance, Collins is, if I'm not mistaken, they have what they called Big Cat. So it's kind of graded readings. The program is for the elementary school, and the literacy really, by design, developed bit by bit, yeah, graded. So that kind of thing can be one of the considerations. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Macmillan also have such books that provided for the schools, yeah, for the schools setting. So that kind of program can be considered. But I personally, I like that idea of Mas Carmelo mentioned previously about that reading corner. Only in this kind of situation where the pandemic is still out there, uh, sometimes it's not easy for us to bring the children to the students to the schools, right? So the reading corner is it's quite vacant. Nobody's there. So we have to find some other answers. Perhaps the digital library, the digital readers could be a help for that kind of thing. Do I answer the question, Mas Carmelo?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Pak Toto. Well, okay.
Pak Carmelo, can
Yes.
I jump in into that topic? For teachers.
Of course.
Teachers,
Yes, please.
please love reading, or at least try to love reading, because your love of reading would be infectious to your students. You know, like whenever I enter class, I usually bring a book that I've been reading for that week. You know, I buy books because I travel a lot. So Periplus airport store is usually where I buy books. And but not during this pandemic. That's why during this pandemic I buy from periplus.com. But like before the pandemic, whenever I travel, you know, I would stop at the airport store, Periplus airport, and I would buy books. So I usually just buy about one book every month, if not every week sometimes, yeah, to buy just books. And so I would bring the book to my class the next week or the next morning. I would bring to my student, hey, this is the book I'm reading this week, okay? And then I would just give a synopsis of the book, or sometimes I would admit I'm still in chapter 1 or chapter 2. I'm not done yet, or I'm halfway through, but this is a great book. This book talks about this and this. And so I'm trying to just infect my students with love of books. I don't know whether it works or not, but some of my students pick it up. Okay. So teachers, please love books and share what you read with your students. And then action, yes, you know, go to your library, the school library, bring some books, and then develop a reading corner in your own classroom, you know. So Carmelo shared what the friend was doing. Yes, now I don't do that anymore because my daughter is 26, but when she was younger, we had, you know, bean bag, carpet, you know, colorful boxes. Now this is a boring shelf, but if you have young children, then make it more lively, more colorful, more relaxing. In your classroom too, teachers make the very lively reading corner, pillows, reading in bags, you know, colorful, you know, accessories for your reading corner. And that's one. Second, make a literacy tree, you know.
Literacy tree?
You know, it could be literacy tree. You know, you could pick up, if you have, like, you could find a tree, branches of tree, dry branches, you know, like that tree. Take the stem and the branches, put it in your classroom, and then make a you know, tree book competition, you know, like prepare like the leaves of the tree, but from paper. You know, leaf of the tree from paper. And then get your students to read books. And then for every book that they read, they have to write down on the leaf, the paper leaf, and write down their name and the title of the book, and then it depends on the level that you're teaching. Okay. For the younger level, maybe just the title of the book and a very short synopsis, you know, or words or short sentence, the reflection of the book, you know. But if you're teaching at the upper level, then maybe should be more, you know, like a book review of the book, and then get them to just hang the leaf of a paper leaf, each child one leaf, and hang it on the tree, you know. And then if you're a school principal, you can make a class competition, a cross class competition. So the class who with the more decorated tree and the richer tree then should win the book competition. Yeah, just a lot of activities that teachers can do to get students to love books. Silent reading in class, like before class or just at certain times, get students to read silently. Book review, teachers, you can also do arisan buku, yeah, arisan buku. So book review also as part of your professional development sessions. Could be monthly, could be weekly. It depends. Arisan buku itu you chip in, you pay, and then you buy books, and then you rotate the books that you have read. So if you buy, you just spend a certain amount of money to buy one book. But then if every teacher buys a book, then you rotate the book. So you spend only the cost of one book, but you get to read many books. Yeah, a lot of ideas actually.
Thank you very much, Prof. Anita. Very inspiring. I think that's a creative way, tips for the teachers, how to make the children interest in reading books. And I think due to of our time, I will read one more question from the chat box, and then unfortunately, we have to close this event. But we will elaborate together with the closing statements. Okay, this is from Miss Marisa Dewi from Sampurna Academy Surabaya. Nowadays, I see still so many parents and teachers don't have any awareness on this. As we know about this meaningful information, how to share to them who still wants to stick to the old style. I guess old style is the more, I don't know, it's more traditional perspective or something like that. But how to share to them who still wants to stick to the old style? I mean, I think here he wants to share the meaningful information or awareness of literacy. Pak Toto, you want to start to answer this question?
Okay, thank you. If I understand the questions correctly, well, sharing information doesn't mean that just forwarding some message or something. In my opinion, it's more meaningful. It's more telling if we ourselves start with what we already understand. So what we share is really our experience instead of just information. So, for instance, we take some takeaways from this discussion. Perhaps after we setting up some small library for our kid, and then we can share that one to our friends, some of them, what we are doing. So sharing information, sharing such thing is not merely just, oh, okay, this is a good and this no, but starting a discussion, starting developing the literacy in ourselves, the parents as well as uh, the teachers. So what we are doing, just like Professor Anita already mentioned and shared, it's always something that we can do together. What we are doing is something that we can share to others as long as that's still in line with what we believe is good. So, in my opinion, that's the more effective way of sharing instead of just sharing information in a very trivial way, Mas Carmelo.
All right. Thank you, Pak Toto. Prof. Anita, you want to add something?
Yes, I'm not sure what the person means by old style, but I'm just trying to guess. I'm just giving a message to parents, and I did a message to teachers, to parents too, that we need to do a self-evaluation of our investment in our children. I see that a lot of parents, invested a lot in their children, picking up a good school, making sure that the child gets nutritious food, a very nice clothing and stuff. But other than school fees for the schools, do you spend enough for this? Is still considered education of the child, of buying books, of taking them to good places of education, which is not only school, museum, just cultural centers, books, like whenever we go abroad, I often take the time to visit the bookstores and buy books, but some parents, not many, I know, from the chat box, the questions that some of the parents here love books and get the children to get good books. But some other parents are very stingy on books. Yeah, imported books can be expensive, but books are food for the thought, food for your child's brain. Some parents do not mind like buying expensive clothing or branded clothes or bags for themselves, watches and things like that. But when it comes to books, oh, so expensive, but it's a concern, to me, because books are food for thought, vitamins for your child, nowadays people take a lot of vitamins to build the immunity. Well, books too are a good investment for your child. We never calculate, like how much we have spent for our children's, myself, we never calculated how much I have spent for my daughter's books, and visits to cultural centers and museums. But believe me, the investment was really worthwhile. My daughter went to UC Berkeley, she got partial scholarship, and then she graduated from her master's program for ANU from Canberra, the Australian National University. We paid zero, She went to London for 10 days. We paid zero, So I don't know if we ever calculated that. The investment pays off, the investment pays off. Like what we invest by buying books, by education, not just money, but time. Also reading with her, bedtime stories with her, it pays. The investment, has been fruitful. So I would assure parents, some parents who, I saw that, you've been doing that, you're asking questions about good books and that you're saying that your child is a book lover. So that's good. Keep doing that. But for parents who haven't done so, please evaluate. A good start to do is see your budget. What's the percentage you pay for meals? What's the percentage you pay for clothing and expensive things? What's the percentage you pay for books? How much? What's the percentage you buy books? Not just the course books, not just the school books, but books as if they're the vitamins for your child. Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Anita. Very inspiring and so enriching our discussions today. Before we end our discussion, we as a Periplus, it is a part of our mission to support, to enhance, to improve literacy level of children in Indonesia. So in order to aim this, we would like to announce that we will give discount as well for all the participants in this event. But before it, I think we can see a short video first for those who are not following from the very beginning, a short video about Periplus or also about Sampurna Academy. All right, Ms. Putri, can we start the video?
Miss Arum?
Yes, Miss.
Langsung saja ngeklik di sini. Prosesnya cepat, tak ingkar janji. Bila perlu buku bermutu, Periplus siap membantu. Periplus ada untukmu. Periplus siap membantu.
All right, thank you. So for today's event, we will give a discount for the book mentioned by Pak Toto before in his presentation. The title is The Invisible Toolbox. In the Invisible Toolbox, the author shares with parents the single most important thing that they can do to foster their child's future learning potential and nurture the parents-child bond that is the foundation for a child's motivation to learn. She also teaches and inspires us to build our own toolboxes so that we can help our children build theirs. Okay, for the link to buy this book and the promo code, Pak Nugi can help us to put the link and the promo code on the chat box so that all the participants can see the promo code.
Already.
Okay, great. It's Perix Am. Yeah, that's the code. So we can buy the books on periplus.com. Please visit www.periplus.com and find the books and put the code inside for the discount. And then thank you very much for this day. Also, before we end this discussion, I still like to elaborate our discussion with what I put on my notes. But before that, I asked Pak Toto and also Prof. Anita to give some closing statements with one question: why literacy is important? One or two questions. One or two sentences. This Pak Toto Subagyo, we can start.
Okay. Well, I mentioned that previously based on the question. So children are natural imitators. If you want our children's literacy grow and develop, there is no other way but starting with ourselves, of course. If we love and have the habits of reading books, they'll surely do. I think, Pak Carmelo and the audience, it's part of the sowing of the seed and fertilizing the soil for the plant of the literacy to grow beautifully and bear fruits abundantly. I think that's all that I can share.
Thank you, Pak Toto. Prof. Anita?
Yes, as a parent or as a teacher, we always think that we have longer life, we have richer experiences that we want to impart to our children. But sometimes we know that we don't have enough time to impart everything that we want to impart to our children. And so we can get help from books because books are a reflection of the world of life, and life is so rich. Life and the world is just so wide and so vast that it's contained in books. And books contain not just information and stories, but books also reveal insights and wisdom. And so when we do not have that experience that ourselves, then we rely on books so that we can also transfer and transform the insights and the wisdom to our children.
Thank you, Prof. Anita. So please allow me to conclude a bit, elaborate what we have learned today. What is literacy is ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate materials in associated with varying contexts, or in short way, we can say literacy is associated with learning process. And why is important? Because for the children, it's the best period of human brain naturally, and books is food for the brains, vitamins for our child. it's useful to develop our the children imagination, the language, critical thinking, but also showing values, insights, and wisdom to our children. So that is why investing in literacy is always worth, in matter of time or money is always worth. And also reading and literacy also moment for bonding between parents and children. And answering the how, we can give our time and books to children in very creative way. But the important thing also, the parent also read the books, starting with ourselves. So visit in the bookstore and then read aloud together with children. And for the teachers, we can make any programs such as reading tree, arisan buku, book corner, and extra. So many creative way to develop, to implement the reading or literacy for our children. Thank you very much for joining with us in this discussion today. I think that is for our discussion. Again, thank you Pak Toto and Prof Anita for enriching and sharing all the knowledge, awareness of literacy for all parents and participants in this discussion. And for the teachers and librarians, we also want to encourage you all to know more about education books. We, as Periplus, also have partnership with Collins from UK, who are very concerned in education and provide a lot of readers with big cat series like Dr. Seuss, Paddington, etc., and other 1,000 Phoenix books like Prof. Anita what mentioned before. So for teachers and librarians, also do not hesitate to contact with us. For the parents, feel free to go to our store, but if due to the pandemic is a bit, is a bit worried to go to the store, we have program called Buy Book from Home. You can contact the number. I think Pak Nuki can help with put the number of Buy Book from Home program from Periplus store in the chat box. You can contact them and order online, and then the books will come over you. Also, you can visit periplus.com for online for e-commerce. Thank you very much for today, and very sorry if there is some mistake or a mistake in this discussion. I give back to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johan. Thank you for the speaker for sharing the insight about the way we develop our children's literacy and also the impact of early literacy. And thank you also to everyone for joining this online seminars. And for your information, the host already shared the feedback link. Please fill it up so we can improve our literacy activities ahead. I hope all of you found this seminar informative and useful. Thank you for spending your weekend with us. Have a restful and meaningful weekend, everyone. See you in the next event. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Maybe I will stay
Thank you,
here
Ms.
a bit.
Putri.
So in case the parents still have a technical question about how buying the books, the code, and so on, I can answer in the chat box. But the other, if finished, can leave.
Okay, thank you, Pak Carmelo,
Thank you,
Pak
Prof.
Toto,
Anita.
and
Thank you,
soon.
team
Professor
from
Anita.
Sampurna Academy.
Thank you, Pak
so
Toto.
Thank
much.
you,
Thank you.
Professor
Have a great
Anita.
weekend. Have a great weekend.
Happy
Happy
weekend.
weekend.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Selamat pagi, good morning, Sampurna Academy family. I'm here.
Langsung saja ngeklik di sini, prosesnya cepat tak ingkar janji. Bila perlu buku bermutu, Periplus siap membantu.